Sager.
It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
Welcome back to the to the show that we're doing right now.
Following the local teams, breaking down the biggest games with in-depth analysis and team interview. Join the show by calling into 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press.
Yes! Touchdown! They did it!
In for Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker, I'm J.D. Walker with Jay hanging out with me. We've got halftime for USU women's soccer. They're up 1-0. And we're taking your hype songs on the Full Court Press text line. And speaking of hype songs, somebody who needs no hype, Mr. Jason Walker, we are going to try to bring you in here on the phone lines. Are you there, sir? Oh, Jason, are we there? See, this is what happens when I try to... Nope, guess what? We're not. All right, I'm going to dial him up right now. All right, now, you have 30 seconds to give us...
Ladies and germs, just
there you go.
Let Daddy talk here. Ladies and germs, welcome to the Full Court Press here. My name is AJ. I don't need an introduction. I was great when I was here, and I'm still great when I sub in. Okay, so here's a Delio Cheerio, okay? We a long time ago did this Friday 5 Best of the the 5 best in stadium jams when you go to a sporting event. Like, for example, we're at the Spectrum tomorrow night. It's going to be a great atmosphere, great crowd, playing Weber State. What is a song that you want to hear that fires you up in a stadium, even as a fan? For me, it's the Hey song. For JD, it's Christopher Robin by Kenny Loggins.
Christopher, for Jason Walker, who is now hopefully joining us on the phone.
It is the Barney song.
The Barney song, Jason?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, Jason, what's your hype song? I'm driving right now. Celine Dion's It's All Coming Back to Me Now, or Montel Jordan's This Is How We Do It?
No, I was listening to Running in the 90s.
Running in the 90s.
That was the song I was listening to when you guys called.
Oh, okay. Well, now we know. You know what? We should find out what's on Jason Walker's playlist. That could be a special edition of the Full Court Press.
Yeah, that could be.
So, Jason, where are you at on the road right now? I'm going to take a wild guess that you're on the I-15.
That is a very good wild guess, and that is indeed where I am. I haven't passed a landmark since St. George, so I don't know. I think, or maybe I passed Hurricane. I think I might have passed there. So somewhere in the middle of nowhere in southern Utah right now.
So you're going to be home. You actually make really good timing, though.
Yeah, I should make it back by, I don't know, 9 or 10 or something like that.
Yeah, you're going to be all right.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Just a heads up, I don't know what you did, Jason, but you took the gorgeous weather with you. It was 80 degrees and sunny outside, and there is snow on top of our mountains around here, Jason. So just heads up when you're coming home.
That was the thing I was most afraid of, was to come back to a white Logan after spending a couple of days in balmy Las Vegas.
Did you get a tan?
Jason tan?
No, I'm very much an indoorsy person, so I didn't spend a whole lot of time outside exploring Las Vegas.
Well, Jason, let's get right to it. Mountain West Conference Media Days, both women's and men's basketball. I want to start on the men's side of things. It was interesting to see the preseason poll, and you and I both know what that preseason poll does, what it looks like. I was wondering just your thoughts of Utah State being placed sixth. Out of all the places they could have landed, sixth place for Utah State kind of surprised me. I'm sure it surprised you. What did you think of it?
I'll be honest, I'm not that surprised. I would have, and I don't know, I had some conversations with people, and I think I was telling people I thought the Aggies would be fifth or sixth. That's not where I would place them, but that's where I thought they'd end up. So I wasn't too surprised at that sixth place spot. You look at the teams above them, they're teams that haven't had a new head coach, that didn't lose a conference player of the year player, multiple conference player of the year caliber guys. The teams that made it at the top are ones that have returning star production, guys that made all Mountain West teams, and just have more of that returning production, have the same head coach. So that's what the media is going to vote for in the preseason poll. You can argue the merits of that, just voting kind of conservatively based off of that. But based on the criteria that I think media tend to vote on, it was pretty predictable that that's about where the Aggies would end up.
We look at the preseason polls and stuff, and I'll throw out Florida State and things like that. You see them and stuff. I wish I would have voted. I would have put Air Force. I would have given them a first place vote just to throw a monkey in the wrench.
Well, and that's the other thing, Jason. I do want to ask you, with that, 6 teams with one first place, with at least one first place vote, 6. That speaks to the depth of the conference. Do you feel like the same thing, that there is going to be some depth in this conference with 6 first place votes handed out?
Yeah, well, I do want to speak to JD's point, voting for a team that ends up in last, because that happened in the women's basketball a few years back, where San Jose State was I think they were picked last or second to last in the preseason poll, but had a first place vote. And that voter had the last laugh because San Jose State ended up finishing second. So they were pretty right about how good they would be. But to your point, Ajay, I think you're spot on there. And I asked a lot of the coaches about that point, where it's the preseason order finish is what it is. But the thing that is most telling is those 6 teams with a first place vote, because it indicates that at least there's an expectation that this conference is going to be exactly as competitive as it was last year, where you had 7 teams within a couple of games of each other, and they kept beating each other up, and they kept winning on their home floor, and then sometimes they'd maybe steal a game on the road. And I think this year is going to be very much the same, in that a lot of these teams are in the same boat. They're going to be facing the same challenges, and so they're all going to be on equal footing, and it's just going to come down to whichever overcomes those challenges the quickest and the best by season's end.
We're talking to Jason Walker here on the Full Court Press. Jason, driving back from Vegas, Mountain West Media Day. If you see him out there on the I-15, just wave, just say hi. He's not really bald and beautiful anymore. He's kind of got a little bit of hair now, but you'll notice him driving up and coming back to Cache Valley. This is, we were talking about hype songs, Jason. I think this one, doing a little trucking, Grateful Dead, Jason, today. That works right, Ajay.
Sounds good to me.
There's a lot of trucks around me. I've had to pass them. There was one that couldn't stay in his lane, and so he was taking up 2 of the 3 lanes. I had to go around him.
That was the person who voted for UNLV to be first.
Hey, Jason, I got to ask the All Mountain West team. Ian Martinez does get a vote in. Do you feel like anybody got snubbed? I mean, I was kind of curious your thoughts on Mason Falls of not making the All Conference team if he didn't play enough games last year. What did you see from that list?
Yeah, Ian Martinez was pretty much a shoo-in. I mean, the only thing that would have kept him off is if they'd have restricted it to 5 players. And even then, he probably would have made it on. Just because he's one of the premier players in the conference. And I think there's an expectation that he will be. I think with Mason, it's the fact that he was a 3rd or 4th or 5th option with Utah State and was a freshman last year. So while you had a guy like Dayton Thomas, who's a sophomore this year, the fact that he was the guy for UNLV late in the season, that gives him the nod. So I think with Mason, it's just the fact that he hasn't been a star player. He's shown flashes. I think if you asked everybody, voting, is Mason going to be a good player? They'd all say, yeah, sure, he's going to be a good player. But these preseason polls are very much based on what have you put on paper, what have you done, and Mason's been good, but he's not been, he's not shown that all-conference talent yet. He's shown the flashes of being able to do that, but he's not done it yet. So you don't get the preseason recognition, because that's for people who have already been there, done that, typically.
All right, Jason, tomorrow night, Aggies, we at Wildcats in the Spectrum for an exhibition charity game. Do you feel like Coach Calhoun, when you've talked to him, the starting lineup and rotation we'll see tomorrow, is that the starting lineup and rotation we're going to see for Game 1 of the 2024-25 season?
I think it could end up being the Game 1 starting rotation, but I wouldn't put too much stock into that because I think, over the last several years, we've seen pretty consistent lineups through the entire season where pretty much the only lineup changes are based on injury. Like, we only had a handful of starting lineups last year under Danny Sprinkle. The only really radical change in the starting lineup was a couple of times. Well, I guess you had Josh Aduje going to the bench when Ian Martinez was healthy, but even that, I guess you could say, was based on injury. But then you had Aduje coming in for Isaac Johnson. That was about as radical as it got, but even that was based on just matchups. And I think with Jared Calhoun, the interesting thing with the Aggies this year is you've got like 8, 9, 10 players on this team who were all starters, like full-time starters last year. So trying to juggle that in terms of lineups and who's starting and whatnot, and trying to figure out who deserves minutes and who's earned minutes. Like, Jared Calhoun is going to be doing a juggling act, I think, all of November and December to figure out exactly which lineups he wants. And I think eventually he'll settle on a starting lineup. But I don't know if the one that we're going to see initially is necessarily going to stick. It could, but it's something that I think could change a couple of times in November, December, setting aside any chance for injuries, which of course would shuffle it up a bit.
So how did the vibe when new coach Calhoun down there in Vegas, some of the stuff that we have up here in Cache Valley going on, did you sense anything from other reporters, other people from conferences or from the conference just asking questions, what's going on with the Aggies, or any curiosity kind of poking around?
Well, I mean, when I was talking to Coach Calhoun and the two Utah State players, there weren't as many other media around, so I didn't necessarily hear some of the questions that were asked of Coach Calhoun by other reporters. I know generally there are a lot of questions focused on, the conference realignment. I know Mark Ziegler was asking a lot of the coaches about that, their thoughts, and other reporters were asking as well. And I even asked coaches, both men's and women's, about the Pac-12. I tended to focus more on coaches who are coaching teams that are moving to the Pac-12, which was a little awkward talking about the Pac-12 in the middle of Mountain West Media Days. But I know that was a big topic. It's probably one of the more ubiquitous ones. But I think other than that, there's just a general excitement for the season to begin and a lot of confidence that we're going to have a really nice season of Mountain West basketball for both the men's and women's conferences.
We're on the Full Court Press, just checking some scores real quick for you so you don't have to. The Guardians and Yankees. The Yankees up 2-0 in the series. It's in the bottom of the sixth. Guardians up 3-1. Utah State just coming out of the half from up at Bell Field. They are up 1-0 in their match. We're talking to Jason Walker about Mountain West Media Day for the ladies and men's, and me and Andre just kind of hanging out until Eric and Jason take it back over tomorrow. I'm just, what do you got next?
Yeah, let's go to the ladies' side really quickly if we could. Jason, Utah State, of course, picked 11th. I had them picked 11th, to be honest with you. But I see that there's some vast improvement on this team. What are your thoughts on the Utah State women's basketball team? That's kind of weird asking you that question, by the way, as the play-by-play guy, but here I am doing it.
I was saying, you probably know more about them than I do. I mean,
it's awkward.
With them for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Let's not.
Yeah. He got a pick set. I still think he has a concussion from it because he's been kind of smiling at me awkward all day.
It's been hurting.
Yeah, I think for the women's team, obviously, they knew they were going to get picked 11th. They expected it. And it's typical, like when you talk to teams that are picked 11th. When I talked to, I think it was Wyoming, or I think it was Wyoming that they got picked last. It was them or Air Force on the men's side. When I was talking to them, it's the usual defiance, prove them wrong. And for Utah State women, it's the same thing. They're going to try and prove, the voters wrong, even though they expected to get picked 11th. And the thing is, Utah State may very well finish in that 9, 10, 11 range just because they're so young and they're going to be so inconsistent. But the key is just going to be competing. And when I've talked to Wes Brooks, and I think he even mentioned it when I talked to him yesterday, it's about competing. It's about, not getting blown out by 30 or 40 like they were last season. It's, he said they're going to take their lumps, but they're hoping to hand out some lumps this season. And that, I think, is going to be one of the biggest marks of success, is how much these girls compete and how much heart they show, because that's going to be more indicative of a program turnaround. Like, I guess you'd say, you know, if they got more wins, I guess that would be indicative of a turnaround. But I think it would be more indicative of a long-term turnaround, is how much buy-in do you get with Westbrook's system? Do you see development through the season? Do you see the buy-in, especially from, like, the 7 freshmen they have on their team? Because that's honestly, like, the way these 7 freshmen go that Westbrook's has, the way they go, that's probably going to determine a ton about the Westbrooks era. If he loses like half of them or almost all of them after year 1 and he can't get a buy-in from them, Westbrooks might be in trouble. But if he's probably going to lose 1 or 2 at the very least, because that's just the way college basketball goes. But if he keeps most of them, and if like 2 or 3 of them stick around to become stars, 3 or 4 year stars here at Utah State, and you add a couple of transfers, well, then that's what a Westbrooks, turnaround here at Utah State looks like. So it'll be interesting to watch them this season, knowing that they're probably going to lose a lot of games, especially because they're playing some really tough opponents. But I am really excited to see what this team does in terms of competing and how will they try and execute and buy into this Westbrook system, which is that in and of itself is going to be pretty crazy to watch, because he's 100%, serious, like dead serious about taking 43 pointers a game and then also flying around the court on offense and defense. We may see the Aggies go a million miles an hour during games this season.
Just giving a quick update as we're talking with Jason Walker, coming back to the mothership from Mountain West Media Day. USU Soccer, Kate Christensen to the back of the net. Aggies extend their lead just after halftime, 2-0 Aggies.
Hey, Jason, I want to ask you about the whole Pac-12 Mountain West separation. I know you had a chance to talk to some coaches. What did you learn from those coaches who are not going to the Pac-12? What their desires were, what their thoughts are on this whole entire separation coming up in 2026?
Well, I had a chance to overhear Richard Pitino. I mean, I should have set my microphone down and recorded, because he was talking with Mark Ziegler about how, Pitino, he would have much preferred the Mountain West to merge, largely because of, and it was something that I actually ended up talking about. I was kind of making the same point a week and a half ago, or however long it was, that you have such a great basketball conference with the Mountain West, where the Mountain West is like a step or two away from being a legit power conference in basketball, which is a weird thing to say, but I definitely believe the Mountain West, as constituted, if you keep going with the trend they're on, they end up as a power conference, because they get 6 teams in the NCAA tournament, and I think that could continue. You could see that happen over and over again. But now it's being cut short. And now you're leaving some of the good basketball programs behind. You're taking some of the Pac-12. And so I know in football, it's been not as great of a conference, but in basketball, it was so great. And that's the perspective that obviously Pitino has, is that, he's looking at it from a basketball perspective. And I can certainly sympathize with that you're breaking up a basketball conference that's great. And, we don't know what the Pac-12 is going to look like. Or we don't know how well it's going to perform, I guess, is the thing I should say. You're optimistic that it's going to perform well. And on paper, it looks like it's going to be a spectacular basketball conference. But there is some, obviously, worry from some. Although, Pitino had a pessimistic perspective, or at least a disappointed perspective, because he's one of the, he's with one of the teams that got left behind. There are obviously others who are very optimistic about it. Leon Rice, he's very optimistic, especially with Gonzaga coming over. Other coaches, they're happy about the move. They like what they're going to see in this new conference, and they believe it's going to help them. They believe it's going to help them recruit, and it's just going to be an overall net positive for everyone. So that's kind of the some of the vibes that I got from talking with some of the coaches about Pac-12.
It's the Full Court Press. J.D. Walker, Ajay in studio. Jason Walker driving back to the mothership from Mountain West Media Day. Jason, you're more than welcome to hang on and hang out for the rest of the show if you'd like to. Do you want to?
You're going to lose the guy in about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I know that drive.
All right. Well,
No, I already passed the loss of signal, so
Oh, you
I'm
did?
going to stick around. Yeah, I already passed that, man.
all right.
speeding.
Like
So
4:30.
so
He's
we're going
speeding.
to hey.
He's speeding.
We don't snitch here.
Yes, we do.
No, we do not. Jason cannot drive 55. Shout out to the Red Rocker.
Yo, police, if you find a guy wearing a red shirt and looked salty peanut at bald head, get him. Get him.
Jason,
I'm not wearing a red shirt.
I'll let you get him for the salty peanut head when we come back from the break. But we're going to come back, and I'm going to play something real quick from Coach Nate Butts of the Logan Grizzlies. He had a conversation with me this morning as they have Senior Day coming up. We'll be back with Ajay, Jason Walker, and me, J.D. Walker, on the Fan for the Full Court Press.
Cold weather is here, which means you'll be using your gas fireplace again. Let Advanced Fireplace and Stove, the 4-time Best of Northern Utah gold medal winner, help you get it ready for those cold Cache Valley winters. Schedule a service call with one of their service pros today and receive 20% off when you mention this ad. If you're building a new home, Advanced Fireplace and Stove can design and install a Napoleon fireplace. From traditional to modern, Napoleon has something for every design and every budget. Find out more at advancedfireplaceandstove.com.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Football is a game of tradition. Aggie fans love the game and prepare for game day at Locker 42 with popular items like Travis Matthews or Cutter and Bucks Aggie logoed polos, Nike women's pullover hoodies, Aggie plush blankets, and Aggie seat cushions. Locker 42's wall of hats is impressive, and they have nearly 50 different beanie styles. Style, comfort, selection. Locker 42 is a store for Aggie fans by Aggie fans.
Talking the sports you care about. The Full Court Press on Sports Talk Radio, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. J.D. Walker in for Jason Walker and Eric Frandsen. And because I'm a Logan homer, I get to do what I want to do on the Full Court Press when I get to sit in. So talking to Coach Nate Butts, the head coach of the Logan Grizzlies. Welcome to the Full Court Press, Coach. And it's senior night for the Grizzlies tonight.
Yeah, it is. We're fired up.
So tell me about the seniors you got going out on the field tonight that we're going to honor.
Yeah, we've got an awesome group of seniors here. Some guys that have been through a lot in their time here at Logan High, have really been incredible in this first part of the rebuild that we're getting started here at Logan. We've got some big time guys that'll go on to play college football. Of course, we've got Reed Olson kind of highlights that group. And we've also got some other incredible players, Nate McAllister, Jack Strubar, Renee Nava, just to name a few right there. It's just been an incredible group of guys.
What are your words to them as they go on, not only to maybe the next level to play football, but also in life? I've watched kind of your vibe, your energy with the team since you took over. I've had kids that go to Logan. I'll have 3 that graduate this year, but one of them had a bad experience on the football team about 4 years ago, and it's something that I've kind of kept, under the hat. But watching you and what you're doing there at Logan, I'm very excited for the future of the program. And what do you tell those young men when they're getting ready to go out there tonight for senior night and they're playing one last time or, a couple of the last times before in the front of the home fans? What do you say to them before they go out there on the field?
Yeah, I just tell these guys just enjoy it, because I truly believe we have the best atmosphere in Utah high school football here at Logan High School. It's an incredible place to play. It's a special place to play. So just enjoy it. And my message to them is this might be the last time that you're getting to play here on this field. And, and our time together for you playing for me is coming to an end, but that doesn't mean that our relationship ends. It's just beginning, because it's not an investment that we make as a staff. It's not an investment we make into the kids just during the time they're in high school. It's a lifetime investment. So these kids, even though that their football career for some of them might be coming to a close, or they'll just be continuing it at the next level, the relationship that they've built with myself and the staff, it's one that's going to last forever, and we're always going to be there for them. So that's just what I tell them. It's it's a time of. It is sad, to play your last home high school football game, but it's also special because it's something that should be celebrated, because it's an accomplishment to have made it that far, and for these guys to have stuck it out, especially here where they're on their third head coach in 3 years. That's not the high school experience that anybody envisions, and a lot of these guys, we've got some really good football players, and they could have decided to jump ship and transfer to another school. Or just have decided not to play, but it says a lot about who they are and the character that they have. So I just think that should be celebrated. That's exactly what I'm going to tell them tonight.
Coach Nate Butts for the Logan Grizzlies. You mentioned 3 head coaches in the last couple of years, and you're going through a rebuild there. What's your goal for the program? I'd love to hear it. I've kind of seen it. I kind of know what it is, but I'd like you to just say it out there for the Logan Grizzly audience that's listening right now to the Full Court Press.
Yeah, our goal for the program is to create great men off the field, whether that's in the community, in the church, in the classroom, and we believe that it results in wins, whether it's right now or whether it's down the road, and we do think that our time's coming. Something that we talk about is. The Israelites were stuck in the desert for 40 years. We're not going to be stuck in the desert for 40 years. We believe God's going to take us to the promised land sooner rather than later, and that's Rice-Eccles Stadium. And that's coming. It's coming soon, and that's our goal long term. But we're going to do the right things off the field in order to get that product on the field that we want to see.
Coach Nate Butts from the Logan Grizzlies, thank you so much for your time, stepping up with us, talking about senior night and the future of the Logan Grizzlies program. Take care, Coach, and good luck tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
They'll be taking on Bear River tonight, and a little Logan homerism there, but that's okay, Jason, right? It's all right. I got 3 kids that have gone to Logan, actually 4. Man, I forgot a kid there. Jason, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm still here. JD, asking me if it's okay to be a Logan homer is probably not the greatest, because I've also got that Logan homer in me, so...
I really like
preaching to the choir a little bit.
I really like what Coach Butts is doing over there at Logan. It's been a rough couple of years for their sports program, but there's really some good coaches in place now that are really trying to step up for our young men over there. So anytime I can give Coach Butts a microphone to talk and share what he's doing there, it's a young Logan team. They'll be back here in the future if they just stay the course. You agree, Jason?
Yeah, I just love what Coach Butts is doing, and he's not trying to throw dirt in your eyes or dust in your eyes as far as like what's going on with the program. He knows the situation that they're in. He knows the struggle, but at the same time, he's not going to let that get these kids down. He's going to have them playing with as much heart as possible. And when I look at the last couple of years, I've watched a lot of games where Logan has lost. They have not had a lot of success in the win-loss column, in these last 2 seasons. But I think this year there's just been a marked difference where, it's a lot of the same kids. Like, it's not like suddenly they got new kids and so they're playing different. It's a lot of the exact same players, and Nate Butts has them playing with just a different level apart, where they're going up against these teams where, maybe the opponent is just bigger and faster, and maybe they got more resources at their high school. And he's just got them playing with the heart of a champion. And, with Logan, with their youth, and, with youth comes a lack of size because most of them haven't finished growing yet. There's been a lot of ups and downs, mostly downs. They're still, 2-7, 2-8. So it's been a struggle, but they're going to grow into men. That's what Nate Butts is making out of these kids. He's making men. He's making football players. and you've seen them get better and better and better. And so maybe they win on senior night, maybe they don't. But the most important thing to come out of this season for these guys is that Nate Butts has fashioned them into, much better people and also much better football players. And so that'll be the most important thing, I think, that comes out of this game, either on or off the field. Of course, I am going to hope that they win because, again, I'm still a Logan homer.
Hey, Jason, let me ask you, this RPI coming out on Saturday, what are your expectations of it?
I expect Ridgeline to be number one. I think especially since some of the teams around them finally lost, they're not getting hosed by the RPI system, where there was like 3 or 4 weeks where Ridgeline they kind of literally still can't improve their RPI. Like, there's nothing that Ridgeline can do to control their own RPI because they're perfect. Therefore, the only thing under their control, it can't get any better, and they just are at the whims and mercy of their opponent's win percentage and the opponent's win percentage, obviously. But yeah, expecting Ridgeline at 1. I think Skyview's somewhere in that 4 to 5 range. I forget exactly where they were coming into this week, but I think they're going to be in that top 5 most likely. Green Canyon's kind of slid out of that top 5 or 6. Maybe they jump back up. Of course, didn't Green Canyon Skyview play yesterday?
Yeah, Green Canyon squeaked it out. A field goal, about 5 minutes left. Jack Clark was driving back, got him a touchdown, but the last 2 minutes, Green Canyon held him. So Green Canyon took out Skyview. Skyview now 6-4. The Bobcats, or the Wolves, now 7-2.
Okay, so yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention to that final score.
You're a little busy. You're a little busy down there.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that you went to the Liberace and Elvis Museum after the Mountain West Media Day.
I can neither confirm nor deny. But so I guess after, I think, again, I should have double-checked that score before answering this question, but I guess that's going to slide Skyview down a little. They'll probably fall out of that top 5. Maybe Green Canyon sneaks back up. They might get themselves into that top 5, especially because playing Skyview is going to help their opponent's win percentage and opponent win percentage and all that. So you'll probably see Skyview and Green Canyon next to each other in the RPI, or at least very close. And then, after that, I would say Mountain Crest after that, kind of, they're right on the edge there. I know they didn't play this week, so they're going to be kind of at the whims of everyone else. And after that point, you got Bear River, Logan, and Westfield all kind of sitting around in the 20s in the RPI.
I think, I mean, props. It was a great game last night between Green Canyon and Skyview, and props to the Bobcats. I don't want to face either one of these teams in the playoffs. Skyview shows me that at any second they can score or they can be a defensive threat. And Green Canyon, Peyton Wilson and those guys that they have there, just Hayden Schramm and those guys, just a dynamic duo. So there's going to be a lot of great playoff football coming up here out of Cache Valley. Do you have any favorites, guys, so far that you think are going to go? I mean, Ridgeline, I'm just waiting for somebody to attempt to build. No, you're still here, Jason. We got you.
Okay. Well, you cut out for a second.
Well, we're just wondering, who do you think? Do you think there's going to be any surprises in the playoffs, or do you think Ridgeline, going to hold on to that number 1 spot and be at the king and top of the hill and, face all challengers?
Yeah, I have a really hard time seeing Ridgeline losing. They did lose one of their key linebackers, but the team is so stacked that it may only impact them by the time they're playing some of these other teams at the top, like I think Spanish Fork, and I think Park City was also up there. And those are teams that I just don't know anything about because I haven't seen them play. Wow. So I don't know how well they stack up against Ridgeline. The thing with, you look at Skyview and Green Canyon, those are teams that when they're playing at their best, they are teams that can pull off an upset, and they can beat just about anybody in 4A. The problem that I've seen out of those two is they're just kind of inconsistent. Skyview especially, Green Canyon's not been super inconsistent. Their biggest, problem was facing a team like Ridgeline.
Yeah.
But Skyview, they've beaten some really good teams, and they've, lost to some teams that, given other parts of their resume, I wouldn't think they would have lost to. So Skyview's kind of interesting, where I think if they played their absolute best game, they might beat Ridgeline. But they haven't played their absolute best game very often. So it's kind of difficult to project what Skyview is going to do in the playoffs.
It's one of those things where you go into the playoffs. It's like the preseason projections for the Mountain West. You're like, all right, well, this is the body of work. But when you start that playoff level of football, it elevates. And I think you're right. Skyview, Green Canyon, I'm going to throw Mountain Crest in there. I think anytime they step on the field for playoff football, they rise to the occasion. And you know what? If you haven't played your best ball all year during the season, you haven't put a complete game together, if we're talking about Skyview, what a time to kind of come all together when you get into the playoffs. So I really think for Skyview, Green Canyon, they have great shots to be big contenders in it. Ridgeline, the champ coming in from the season. And even Mountain Crest in there, they can make things interesting. And it's kind of funny that these teams beat up on each other. And this year, the only one that didn't get really beat up was Ridgeline. They lost a key player, but they have been just the kickoff from the first game. The gas pedal went to the floor. They didn't even hit first through fifth gear. They went straight to sixth, and they've just been humming. I don't see anything that's going to stop them. Have you guys seen any hiccups in their armor?
Yeah,
I don't think that.
No, sorry. Yeah, I'm with you. I know what you're going to say, and I just echo your thoughts. I just don't think there's anybody else there. It's the best team in the league. It's the best team in 4A, and honestly, it's one of the top teams in any class, 6A, 5A, through 1A. I just don't think there's a lot of teams that compare to them. I want to ask you about this Grant Livingston kid who has been offered, or at least looks like he'll be getting an offer from Utah State. He wants to be an Aggie. He wants to be here. What do you know about Livingston, and can he compete at the D1 level?
I know that kid is an absolute baller. Like, the guy just makes plays. And I know some people have gotten caught up. They wonder about his measurements. And
I want to take a sledgehammer to that dude. I know who you're talking about. It goes after 16, 17, 18-year-old kids and talks about their height and weight and stuff. Like, come on, man. Sorry, rant there, but yeah.
Yeah. I get it, and I understand, going after that, trying to measure a kid before he's even done growing and improving at the high school level. But, if you want to know if a kid can play ball, watch him play ball and see what he does.
Watch last week's game.
Yeah, I think he had 3 different touchdowns in that game, 4 total. He threw one. He caught 2 of them, 2 or 3 of them technically, but one of them was from the opposing quarterback. And
he got a pick 6.
And he caught a couple from his own quarterback, and of course he's had 3 or 4 pick 6s this season. The only thing Graham didn't do that night was bat between Soto and Judge in the Yankees lineup. I mean, the kid is that good. It's dynamic. And I'm really hoping for him and Nate, the QB connection from Cache Valley to be a Utah State connection in the future. And I know that's a little home cooking wishfulness, but, this kid is the real deal from what we see on the Friday Night Lights. Yeah, I think so. And of course, the transition from high school to college is unpredictable, so you can't say that he's definitely going to be a star. But as I said, you want to see if a guy can play ball, just watch him play ball. And Livingston has done everything that you'd want to see from a guy to, I think, be able to at least belong on a Division I roster. And I believe Graham Livingston belongs on a Division I roster.
Ryan buries the penalty kick for the Aggie ladies up at Bell, and they are up 3-0 over Colorado College. Just a little update here on the Full Court Press. We're talking with Jason Walker.
Game over, and I'm going to watch the soccer game. Switch over real quick here.
You're okay. Wait a minute. You're going to watch the soccer game while driving?
It's possible.
Of course. Nothing can go wrong doing
nothing.
That, right?
All right. Hat tip to all our UHP guys out there. We love our Utah State troopers. Make sure if you pull over Jason Walker and you get the, what is it, salty peanut vibe?
Yes.
Salty peanut vibe. Just give them a warning. We'll be back with more Full Court Press coming up here on The Fan.
Printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling, IT, software, telephones, and security systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at lesolson.com.
Les Olson. Frandsen IT.
This is Ryan at My Mattress. A few years ago, I saw this sign hanging in a gas station. It said price, quality, service. Pick 2 out of the 3. Now, it's funny, and I did laugh, but at My Mattress, we don't even want to do business unless we can do all 3. Price, quality, and service. We have a 90-day sleep guarantee, 90-day price guarantee, and we will answer the phone if you have a warranty concern. At My Mattress, we deliver, we have financing, we strive to be price, quality, and service every day. Isn't it time to sleep exceptionally? Only at My Mattress.
Whether you're a farmer working the fields, a homeowner tackling weekend projects, or a contractor building the next big thing, you need a Kubota machine that works as hard as you do. And Cash Equipment is home to all your Kubota equipment service and parts needs. From plowing fields and clearing land to digging trenches and moving material. Come see why Cash Equipment and Kubota are the choice of champions on the farm, at home, and on the job site. Cash Equipment in Hyde Park and online at cashequipment.com.
It doesn't matter who you root for. The Full Court Press has all the high school sports covered. The Full Court Press. Connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and online at 1069thefan.com.
Welcome back to the Full Court Press. I'm J.D. Walker, in for Eric Frandsen, and Jason Walker joining us by phone. And Jason was so intimidated by us that he had to bail out for a meeting early, but we thank Ajay for coming in and helping us out on the Full Court Press. Eric Frandsen, Jason Walker will be back tomorrow. Jason, I know you've been busy with Mountain West stuff, but did you see the news? Virginia's head basketball coach, Tony Bennett, retiring just about 3 weeks before the season starts. I kind of feel for the program there, Virginia, just 3 weeks away, and now everything's kind of in upheaval. Did you hear about that news?
I didn't hear about that, though I thought I heard somebody mention Virginia. I overheard a conversation. We overheard them mention Virginia. Maybe they were talking about that. But yeah, I've been kind of wrapped up in the Mountain West news, so I had not heard about that. That's a bit of a bombshell.
Yeah, it was one of those things, and I saw it from Aggie fans that were saying, "Oh, this is giving me PTSD and flashbacks," and I can understand that. I mean, can you imagine being a student athlete on that team? And it's kind of weird. So I don't know if more is going to come out later, but it's the 16th season with the Cavaliers, less than 3 weeks from their opening game, and Bennett's also said and reiterated his decision to retire is not health related. That is just kind of funky, isn't it?
It is, and you have to think that this is something that he's just probably been struggling with, and it's hard to tell the mental state of a person. You think that everything's going on all right behind the scenes, and I'm not saying there's anything catastrophic happening with him or his family. I wouldn't know, but even if there isn't anything going on, sometimes maybe you just get kind of tired. You're not in a good mental space. And you got to step back, and Tony Bennett has clearly decided he needs to step back, and best of luck to him. And it's a brave decision for him if he's taking a step back because he feels that's the right decision for him, because that's a hard thing to do, and it would have been a hard conversation with those players. And I think as long as there's a reasonable and legitimate reason behind this, and if he wasn't forced out for some weird reason, then I think the team will stay together. Because if Tony Bennett just goes in front of his teams and just lays it all out in front of him and says, here's how it's going, then the team will rally behind him. They'll rally behind the other coaching staff that's going to be behind taking this team through the season. And I wouldn't think there would be that much of a drop-off other than the fact that, you don't have Tony Bennett coaching your team anymore. That's certainly a negative there. But you would hope it wouldn't be a season-ruining thing for the Cavaliers, because you just hate to see that from a team, have a season just bottom out 3 weeks before the season because your head coach, up and left.
Yeah, it's kind of a rough thing to go through, and so I see Aggie fans having a little PTSD. Throwing out some scores right now: 3-0. The Lady Aggies up at the bell. New York Yankees and Cleveland. New York's up 2-0 in that series. They're going to the top of the 8th. The Cleveland Guardians up 3-1. And tonight there's football tonight. Jason, I don't know where this week's gone, but Denver at New Orleans on Prime Video tonight, and Wow. I mean, it's just been jammed packed. I'm going to go ahead and take our last break here, and then we'll jump in and, we'll just rap about stuff. Or maybe we'll just talk trash about Aj for the last segment of the show since he decided to take shots at you and Eric. We'll be back with more on the Full Court Press. I'm JD Walker, and we'll be right back on The Fan.
2 years ago, Cafe Sabor opened its doors in the historic Logan train station. This October, Cafe Sabor is celebrating their anniversary and saying thank you to everyone that has made Cafe Sabor a Cache Valley favorite. Enjoy free spinach artichoke dip, free fried ice cream, or churros when you purchase 2 entrees. A simple but delicious way to say thank you. Come celebrate all month and enjoy free spinach artichoke dip, fried ice cream, or churros as Cafe Sabor says thank you for 22 amazing years. See server for details.
Need a reliable partner for your medical needs? Look no further than Triton Medical and Transportation. We offer top quality medical soft goods right here in your community. From incontinence supplies and oxygen needs to medical transportation. Whatever you need to stay comfortable and healthy, we've got you covered. Trust Triton Medical and Transportation, caring for our community with every step, every mile. Call us today at 435-557-6687 or visit us online at mytritonsupply.com. Triton Medical and Transportation, because your help matters.
This is Kyle at Advanced Door, and we guarantee every garage door we install for a lifetime, parts and labor. That's every door, every spring, every roller, every track, every motor. The entire garage door system guaranteed for a lifetime, parts and labor. We're Advanced Door, and we guarantee you'll be hearing this for a long time. Find out more at advanced-door.com. That's advanced-door.com.
Join the show by calling 435-752-1069 or text 435-339-0321. It's the Full Court Press with Eric Frandsen and Jason Walker.
JD Walker and Jason Walker by phone on the Full Court Press. The guys will be back tomorrow, so everything will be back to normal, and you'll get rid of the knuckleheads like me and Aj. Jason, just looking around some headlines, throwing this out there. A rough week for the Utes down south. Of course, the Cam Rising stuff being out for the year, possible an 8th year of eligibility. The crown jewel in their recruiting class for 2025, 4-star Spanish Fork offensive lineman Aaron Dunn has decommitted to the Utes. He chose the Utes over Oregon and USC, but has now reopened his recruitment process. So another shot for the Utes to take, losing the crown jewel and a hometown kid in their recruiting class. Just for once, I'm glad that a football team in the state of Utah is having a bad time, and it's not us, Jason.
Yeah, it's rough because, the Utes, they were a fringe playoff pick. It wasn't uncommon for me to see, in the preseason, the Utes as one of those teams. I think mainly it was the auto bid out of the Big 12.
Yeah.
I think is where most people were projecting them as. Weren't they picked to finish first in the Big 12?
There were some that had them there. It was supposed to be big year for the Utes.
Yeah, so the fact that it's fallen to pieces because, again, Cam Rising, might as well call him Kawhi Leonard, right?
Oh, my gosh.
He's about as injury prone as the Claw himself. And, yeah, it's weird because, he had this minor injury due to cut his hand or something like that, was tackled out of bounds onto a table or something.
Yeah, it's just one of those freak plays.
Yeah, it's just weird. You think the guy was made of glass or something, and of course you feel for him because this is a guy who is clearly talented. He's had 2 fantastic seasons, but those seasons are also 3 or 4 or 7 years ago, or however long it feels like. And the fact that he has another year of eligibility somehow, I thought for sure he'd used up every single one of the possible excuses that you can have to get an extra year. COVID, redshirt. I thought he'd had an injury year in there somewhere, but I guess not because he may get another one. And it's just insane. By the end, if he stays another year and he goes to a bowl game, they're going to introduce him as Dr. Rising.
PhD.
He's going to have been in school. Yeah, PhD, attorney at law, Dr. Rising or whatever.
And he gets his AARP benefits, too. So, it's a bonus.
He'll get an NIL payment, and the AARP will be paying him. Maybe both at the same time. He'll have an NIL deal with the AARP. So It's pretty crazy. I wonder if he stays in Utah.
That's what
goes somewhere.
That's my next question. I kind of joked with Craig Hislop this morning, and I told him, hey, by the way, Cam's entering the transfer portal. It's going to be the pig farmer versus Cam in spring ball for the starting job.
That would be that would be crazy. Of course, then that would just spell doom for Cam Rising. He should avoid Bryson Barnes as much as humanly possible, not because Barnes is a bad person, but because I swear he has voodoo dolls of every starting quarterback he's ever played in front of. Every single one of them has been injured.
I picture a Bryson Barnes locker, a little tribute to Joe Boo being in there from the Major League movies. Just want to give a real quick update. It's now 3-3 in the ALCS, the Yankees versus Cleveland. The Yankees brought it back. It looks like they're in the top of the ninth, still batting. And checking the USU soccer score right now, it looks like we're up 4-0. It's Araveo making it 4-0. I'm probably butchering the name, Jason, but it looks like Arevalo. Yeah, they're out there. Oh wait, okay, never mind. And a brace for Busy. We're going 5-0. Yeah, they just posted. I'm refreshing the feed, so it looks like things are bouncing back pretty well for our Lady Aggies. Is this kind of how you expected them to respond, Jason, or is this a kind of a surprise to you? How do you feel about this response that they're having today?
Well, Colorado College, not the strongest opponent. I mean, legendary Mountain West members. Colorado College, of course, only a member in women's soccer.
I love the fact that I get all optimistic and hyped up, and then Jason brings me back to earth. I joke all the time. He keeps me from getting Aggie tattoos like once a week, but he keeps me balanced. So he's like, oh, wait a minute. Hold your horses, JD. Sorry, Jason. I just had to jump in.
No, but this is the response that you wanted to see, because we've seen the Aggies struggling a little bit, even against opponents that they should be putting, the 3-0, 4-0 scores against. So the offense getting rolling again, getting that counterattack, those long passes, connecting with the other players. I think Busy Arevalo coming back from injury, I think last game, or either 2 games ago, she was huge in that attack, and I think she was probably, her absence for a few games is probably a reason why they stuttered a little bit. But the thing is, the Aggies are in an interesting situation where they're a top 25 team, or I don't know where they've fallen to after a couple of not as great results if they're still in the top 25, because that can be a brutal, one major slip up like a loss can send you reeling, especially to a team like Wyoming, who isn't going to be super high in the RPI. But this is a top 25 caliber team, a team that it can be a top 10 team when they're at their best. We've literally already seen that already this season. But, that they were struggling a little bit, and now they're starting to work their way back into that form. But as I was saying, the interesting thing is that you have a team that's this good that doesn't control their own destiny to win their own conference. And that's a really interesting scenario there, where Colorado State has the edge over the Aggies. And I think Boise State is in a similar position, too, where they're kind of right there, where Utah State basically, you got to see them win out, and also probably see Colorado State tie or lose to a couple of teams. Otherwise, the Aggies may not win their own conference in what is their best year ever, which is kind of a weird thing to think about.
Want to jump in real quick and update the Yankees versus Cleveland in the ALCS. Emmanuel Clase, the ace closer, I believe. I mean, one of the best dominant closers, having the best season. Well, in the 8th, the Cleveland Guardians up 3-1. Aaron Judge up with 1 on and hits a bomb. And then right after it, Mike Stanton, or Giancarlo Stanton, or whatever he's going by these days. Man, I don't even know. But the Yankees doing Yankee things, Jason. October baseball, the best. It's a full court press. I'm J.D. Walker in for Eric Frandsen, and Jason Walker joining us, driving back from Vegas and the Mountain West Media Days. Was there anything that really stuck out to you as we come to the final couple minutes of the show, Jason? Was there anything that stuck out to you from your experience down there at the Mountain West Media Days that you weren't expecting, that kind of caught you by surprise?
I don't know if there was anything that truly caught me by surprise. Just because it was similar in a lot of ways to my experience last year. The Mountain West, incredibly accommodating. And I mean, even with, several teams that are leaving, they were still, incredibly accommodating for all the players, all the media, doing whatever they can. I mean, when I walked in on the first day, one of the media relations people for the Mountain West literally giving me a hug, like just, treating us like family. So really love what you see from the Mountain West there, and preparing a very good media day, obviously in conjunction with the West Coast Conference. And so just, a lot of optimism. It's what you expect. Everyone's optimistic at this point of the season. Everyone believes they're going to have their best possible season. So, overall, good vibes, a lot of exciting times. I love these media days because you get to talk with all the players and the coaches about their season. Then you turn the mic off, and then you talk to them for a second about this or that, and just have a quick chat. And, you get to know these guys as people. Like, that was one thing. It's just like, I know Utah State fans love to make fun of and sometimes hate Leon Rice, but, I'll interview him and then we'll turn the mics off and just have a chat. It's like Leon Rice is one of the coolest dudes in the world. And even though you may hate him on the side of the court, but these guys are all people and they're amazing.
You kind of got to leave. I'm cool with the hate and the passion as long as we turn it off when realize that they're humans. Like, there's a lot of stuff, and I asked Ajay this, and I said, hey, you're kind of closer. How's Coach Dreiling doing adjusting to living in Logan? How's his family doing? And Ajay said his family and himself, they absolutely love it here. And, got to remember that, these coaches that we throw all this hate and this stuff at, they're actually people too. And we got to kind of step back and realize that there's some kind of accountability with being fans that, some fans have shown that they've never been punched in the mouth for something they've said, and it really shows.
Yeah, and one thing with Leon, I mean, I talked to him about the fans getting on his case, and even with Max Rice. And, he takes it as a sign of respect. I think he understands, at least, and I would hope it would be the case on the Utah State Aggie fan side, that it's all in that kind of good fun. Like, when you chant Max Rice sucks, okay, that's kind of that wholesome, weird to say wholesome, but like that kind of trash talk that nobody's really offended by, and everyone just kind of takes it in good spirits. And I can't speak for any random stuff that have come out from the fans, because sometimes that can be really borderline. Yeah. But I think as a crowd overall, I think as long as you're keeping it civil, again, civil's a weird word to use when you're telling somebody that they're terrible, and you got literally a poster that says the Leon Rice tantrum tracker out there and counting how many times he's complained to the refs. As long as you're not going outside the band of that, then everyone understands that it's just sports trash talk, and you can all be friends after the buzzer sounds, and you can all be civil human beings. I think for the most part that's where things stand, and that's where I like it to be, where everyone can be respectful to each other, engage in some of the trash talk and have that fun and that back and forth. And so I think that there's a lot of good there. Again, as long as you're not crossing the line, which sometimes people do, and sometimes Utah State fans have. But for the most part, everything I hear, cause like I sit right in front of the student section, I hear a lot of the stuff they say. And it's, trash talk. It's very rarely do they cross the line. Yeah. They get creative, but I have not heard too many people actually crossing a line. And that's one of the things I love about the Spectrum.
Yeah, and tomorrow night in the Spectrum, Aggie basketball. We'll be covering it over on KVNU. Aggie Game Day. Jason, we're wrapping things up. You'll be back in the hot seat tomorrow. Safe travels on the road, my friend, coming back to Logan. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on the Full Court Press.
All righty. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, Jason. And that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks to Ajay. Thanks to Jason, Eric Frandsen, the whole crew making it happen here on the Full Court Press. I'm JD Walker. And thank you for listening and allowing me to talk sports in the most beautiful place on this rock, Cache Valley.
Northern Utah and Southern Idaho's home for sports. KLGN Logan, 106.9 FM, 1390 AM. The Fan.